New York Giants fans, we're finally here. It is preseason game number 1. We finally get to see some real football. I know a lot of you are going to be mad because you don't see a lot of the starters, but it's still an exciting time because they've got to put a full roster together. I'm going to be joined by Detroit's own C. Hen to tell us about joint practices with the Giants in Detroit. We're going to talk a little bit and debate about the defensive line play, and then we're going to get into what we want to see in this first preseason game. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I've got a giant issue. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to a giant issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons. Thank you for joining me as always. New York Giants on SI. Make sure you get all of your Giants information from over there, and make sure that you subscribe to this podcast wherever you're getting it from. If you're on the New York Giants on SI YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 2,000 before game 1. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, we always appreciate a download, and leave a comment. Give us a 5-star rating. If you give us a 4-star rating, then you still think we were good, but you just didn't want to give us, you want to blow our heads up too much. I don't know. It always weird when I see a 4-star rating when the 5-star was there. Like, what exactly kept me from getting that 5th star? It's cool though. Leave that 4-star ranking. If you got beef, leave beef. I like beef. I like to eat. So let's talk about it. I'm joined, like I said before, by C. Hen, Detroit's own host of the Fellas Present the Sports Rap podcast and co-host of Enter the Lab podcast. C. Hen, thank you for joining me, sir.
Man, Gene, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited to talk about tonight's game and also these joint practices, man. It got pretty physical, so I'm eager to see your point of view on how this week went down.
Yeah, we've gone back and forth on social media before, and I always like to get people on that I think think about the thing. But I do have to ask you something that's slightly not related to Giants or Detroit Lions football. What's up with you in these quarterback thought processes? Because you be banging on the brothers, man. You be heavy on the brothers on the brother quarterback. Every time I look around, you got a negative connotation on one of the brothers at quarterback.
Who we talking about here? Who we talking about? I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Lamar. I'm a fan of Lamar. I'm a fan of Dak in the regular season, but I will say this: Dak has a lot to prove. We want to talk about Dak. To me, to whom much is given, much is expected. Dak has played with a top 5 receiver or 2. Dak has played with a great running back. Dak has played with a great offensive line. Dak has played with some solid defenses. So to me, he's been given all the ingredients to win a championship, and for him not to have at least appeared in a Super Bowl, I think is a little bit of a failure on his point. He's worth every bit of the $60 million that he's going to get. So I do hold him to a higher standard. I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts. I was a fan of old Russ. Now, Rue Russ, it's like old Luther. You know what I'm saying? Old Luther, big Luther was that deal. You know what I'm saying? He got a little skinny. Yes, he still was stylish, but he wasn't that old. He wasn't that same dude, but I'm a fan of old Russ. So besides those guys, and here's the thing, Lamar, I need to see him with a weapon. I need to see him with a Stephon Diggs. I need to see him with a Michael Evans. I need to see him with an AJ Brown type players to truly do a true evaluation of him. But I am a fan of his game, so I'm not too hard on anybody. If you're hearing me talk about anybody, it's maybe Dak. And again, I hold him to a higher standard. He is a regular season stat demon. He will stuff the stat sheet, and he will win you fantasy football championships because, of course, that season is played between weeks 1 and 18. So Dak, I am a fan, baby. 7-round steal in fantasy football. You know what I'm saying?
All right, fair enough. These Giants, Detroit Lions joint practices were wild. And we've actually seen there's been some hotly contested, joint practices around the league, but this one just seemed as if there was a lot of vitriol in the air. Like, what do you attribute it to when you look at what went down? What do you say is the reason why it was so contentious?
I think that we had a perfect mix of guys who are very, very competitive on both sides, guys who have something to prove on both sides, guys who are getting a chance to hit somebody in another color uniform. Just in a great circumstance. We got one of the best defensive. One of the best defensive lines in you guys against one of the best offensive lines. We've got guys like Penei Sewell, who just got paid and was recognized as one of the best offensive tackles in the game, and you guys got Brian Burns, who's considered one of the best pass rushers, and Kayvon Thibodeau, considered definitely a great pass rusher, ascending pass rusher, if you will. So those matchups are key matchups. Everybody wants to prove their point. Don't want to be embarrassed on TV because we know these clips are going to go viral. And again, you got a guy like, Malik Neighbors, who's out there putting in work against, veterans, rookies, everybody, free agents. He was putting in some work and he got physical out there. And I'm sure the jawing probably went up a notch or two. And then it got physical and we saw some punches thrown. But again, we got guys who are really, really out here trying to, prove themselves. They're trying to, I think a lot of people still don't really believe in the Lions ascension. You know what I mean? They want to see, they've seen flash in the pan seasons before from the Lions. They want to see if this is going to be sustainable. So, I'm sure there was some questions of some folks' manhood, and some folks probably took exception, especially to Malik. I got to give it up to Malik. Every highlight I saw a couple of Jalen Hyatt highlights as well, but Malik Neighbors looks to be a serious problem out there, was putting in some serious work. Man, he looks like a serious weapon for you guys. I'm sorry, for the Giants.
Yeah, I think so to me, when I look at what went on, this to me looks like a team who isn't quite comfortable yet with being a good team, right? Like, I think they're still operating from we have to prove ourselves as if we're a good team, as if last year was a fluke. So I think that's a part of it. And then, not for nothing, I think you look at the Giants and the way that they're constructed, like how they're put together, it looks very similar to the way in which the Lions are constructed, like what they're trying to do. I think the Lions blueprint and how they were able to make this turnaround is very similar to what the Giants are trying to do when you look at the makeup of their team and how they're created.
That's interesting, because I don't. I gotta ask for the similarities. I gotta ask you for the similarities. And how do you think the build is the same?
Youthful secondary, right? Remember the Lions a couple of years ago jettisoned all their starters, brought in all of these younger, more vibrant rookies that got a little attitude to them. Okay. The Lions, instead of going with sexy picks, they pick up a Mike linebacker. Right? They pick up a Mike linebacker to solidify their defense. The Giants picked up a Mike linebacker to solidify their defense. They have an elite level front four that allows them to get pressure without bringing a lot of secondary or second level pressure. If you look at the Giants, that's what they've put together. If you flip over onto the offensive side, Penei Sewell is great. Andrew Thomas is great. They tried to make the rest of the offensive line better. They were successful. The Giants are trying to make the rest of the offensive line better. You got a quarterback that a lot of people thought wasn't really that good, who just happened to catch lightning in the bottle in the Rams, who had to reemerge and prove himself to be what he is over there. You've got a quarterback with the Giants who people don't think is good and is in a make or break situation. That he's trying to prove himself again. The wide receiving core, you've had veteran guys who have been good, but nobody thought were stars. You got a star. The Giants had veteran guys who people think are good, but they haven't had a star. But now they have a star. At least it looks like they have a star. We'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. The only place that it doesn't completely match up is in the backfield, but we don't know yet, right? Because Singletary, to me, is Montgomery right? He's nothing flashy.
Hold on. You said like or light. Which one you took?
He's Montgomery okay. Montgomery light. Whatever you want to say, either way, it's still gonna be the same. He's never garnered the amount of carries that Montgomery gets. I still don't know why the Detroit Lions are wasting all of these carries on him when they could be giving it to that goddamn Ferrari back there. What you mean? What I mean?
He's a good back. He went for over 1,000 yards. He had 13 touchdowns. What do you mean?
It's 18 games in a season.
We need both of them.
1,000 yards don't mean nothing.
We need both of them, though.
No,
but you put them together, they went for 2,000 yards. That's what I'm saying. So we need both of them.
You do.
And we need both of them healthy at the end of the season. There's no need to run that Ferrari. All right, this Detroit, baby. You got to win. We got winter. It's snow out. You got snow wheels on sometime. We in the north. You got to go to Chicago.
You know what he was doing in the winter?
You got to go to Green Bay. Ferraris don't run on grass like that all the time.
Yeah, so he must be the new cyber truck then, because he was running all over them boys. Y'all finally started giving him carries
in the dome.
Y'all finally started giving him carries, and he went ham. He went ham. Y'all started giving him carries. I was like, hey, why have they not been giving this man carries?
He a dog, and I think he will get more carries this time. I think we have to bring him along slowly. He only 200 pounds. So man, again, there's no need to
weight and height are myths. Weight and height are myths in the NFL. Man, that has nothing to do with it. If they can't catch you,
you need you a Mustang and you need you an F-150. We got both.
That's why the Detroit car industry has had to go through all the changes.
Coming back, baby.
They've had to go through because they weren't really.
You a Mustang and you need you an F-150, man.
Hey, let's talk because again, I think the Lions are going to be the blueprint for a lot of teams on how to try to build it and get it flipped quickly. But we don't know if it's sustainable. Like that's going to be what they have to prove now, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we do know is that both teams have what looks like elite level defensive lines. Now, I've heard a lot of talk because Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau were in the same draft class. Mm-hmm. And after year number 1, people in Detroit were talking heavy about Aiden Hutchinson this, Aiden Hutchinson that. And then in year 2, Kayvon Thibodeau reminded people that he is who he is. And I think it sets up a nice friendly rivalry over the next God knows how many years, because both of them are talented. They just do it in different ways. And now when you add in all of the rest of the ingredients across your defensive line, across the Giants defensive line, these are two of the more dynamic defensive lines in all of the NFL. Make a case for the Lions and why their defensive line is the best of the two.
Well, listen, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be I told you I'm gonna be objective on here, and I don't think that they are the best of the two when you look at it from end to end. I think in the end we would like to emulate what's going on in New York by getting that other end opposite of Aiden. When you got somebody like Kayvon Thibodeau as well as Brian Burns on the inside, and then you got your big beef man on the inside, you guys can just really, really funnel things and keep things in front of you. I would like to see the Giants get a little bit better against the run. I think that we were solid against the run last year, second against the league. I think, a lot of times they were trying to get up the field. And I'm not going to lie to you. I would like to see Kayvon a little bit more engaged in terms of being a pass rusher. I know they use him as a off-ball linebacker a little bit, drop him back in coverage a little bit from time to time. But I would like to see him more get up more of him rushing the passer. I should say. But with that being said, I love the Giants line. I think it's the strength of their team, the strength of that defense. I think for us, we have to find a pass rusher or combination of guys opposite Aiden. A lot of times last year, they were able to double team and hit him with a chip block and neutralize him at crucial times when we need a pass rush, and no one else was able to step up. So who's going to do it? Is it going to be Marcus Davenport? Is James Houston going to regain that form that he had from 2 years ago? He missed last year with a foot injury. Are we going to find somebody who on our reserves or depth pieces who can step up and be a situational pass rusher? Derek Barnes, one of our linebackers, we've had his hand in the dirt from time to time, trying to provide that pass rush. We went to the CFL and got the guy who led them in sacks, and Matthew Betts, and now it's not looking like he may make the team right now. So again, I'll defer. Aleem McNeil is great on the inside. We're going to add DJ Reader again to that defense. Again, we were second in the league last year against the run. Again, we expect to be improved there. Now we hopefully can keep teams in obvious passing situations. And now with that improved secondary, hopefully we can get some turnovers and get off the field.
Yeah, I think what sets what the Giants should now be able to do is the Leonard, not Leonard Williams, excuse me, Dexter Lawrence in the middle is really the difference. If you look around the league, all of the teams that have elite level pass rushers have somebody inside that can win and win consistently. If you don't have someone inside that wins consistently, it's easier to then manage the edges, right? Now, you were talking about Kayvon Thibodeau and you'd like to see him rush more. Trust me, you're not in the minority on this. Nobody wants to see Kayvon Thibodeau in pass coverage. I've been screaming this for 2 years now as I watch Wink Martindale put this man in drop back zone blitzes on like obvious passing downs.
Right.
And then I've been watching training camp, and every few plays I'll see Kayvon Thibodeau in coverage and he's like out on the slot receiver. Meanwhile, there's no rush from the side that he was supposed to be on. And I'm like Shane Bowen, you can't be this stupid. Like, Shane Bowen has to understand how to get better from his last tenure. Like, the Titans had pass rushing issues. Why? Because he clearly did not understand how to employ and let those guys just cook. A lot of the Titans' success defensively happened before he was the defensive coordinator, back when he was just a part of the defense and not the coordinator of the defense. But in his coordinating time, they give him credit for his ability or his defense's ability to stop the run. But the truth is, it's not that his defense has stopped the run well. It's just that people were able to pass on him so easily that they didn't have to run as much. Like, that's a completely different thing. So when I look at this defense,
we were a victim of that last year as well, a little bit. We were solid against the run, but again, some people just chose that, hey, this is the better route of attack against.
Yeah, we're just going to air it out on you. Yeah, and the
Giants. Kudos to Kayvon, because him and the young man from Jacksonville were hearing a lot of noise, man, after that first year.
Yep.
But both of them kind of came back and definitely did their thing, and I think it's going to be interesting to see, because if those guys can stay healthy, him and Burns, and like you said, with Dexter Lawrence in the middle, those guys are going to create havoc, man, for teams, man. So I'm eager to see what they do. Now, what they have behind that, that's going to be the question, baby. That's going to be the question.
Well, see, and herein lies the issue, because I've heard a lot of people talk about the secondary for the Giants, but you can't really get a good view of the secondary when there's no real pressure on the quarterback, right? Okay. Because even in these joint practices, the quarterback doesn't feel any peril because you're not going to hit him, right? Even in the joint practices, the quarterback knows I'm not getting hit. So where is the peril? Where is the anxiety? Where is the fight or flight? The fight or flight is where the interceptions come from, right? So you don't get a chance to have a guy throw a ball short or throw a ball to the wrong read or do any of that, because he knows he's comfortable back in that pocket. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing, and we might as well roll into it. That's what one of the things that I'm really looking forward to watching in this matchup, right? Because I think that the Lions have a good secondary, right? A good secondary, but Malik Neighbors was chewing y'all up over there, man. Oh my gosh! Man. No wonder there was so many fights.
We might have to bring some grease out and put some oil behind Carlton Davis and them knees, man, because they had a problem with Neighbors. But again, though, I think with them, they're still learning the game. Enos Rickenstraw was getting a lot of time out there as well, and Meek Robertson. Those guys are new pieces. Terrion Arnold, new pieces to the defense, so they're still kind of learning and putting it all together and gelling together. But again, there were some plays that were made, no doubt. But I think that we're still getting better back there. And again, without that angst and without that pressure up front, who knows? Danny Dime might throw a couple pennies out here. You know what I'm saying? From the 500 balls.
Well, that's the thing, is that I think what we'll see, and we probably won't see Daniel Jones tonight, right? Because why? He just had all of that work. Even though I think it's good to see him versus pressure, we probably won't see him tonight, but it's fine, because we want to see how the offensive line holds up versus real legitimate pass rushing. And then we want to see these these wide receivers when it's time to get hit, right? So again, I think that's all of the stuff that we miss out on in these practices, is that a lot of times they're sparing each other. Like they're not hitting knockout shots. They're not trying to knock people's legs out of from them. They're not looking to decapitate people. They're not looking to hunt the quarterback. They just want to get by him and touch him. So in the preseason, we get a chance for the Lions to see, hey, who can emerge as this other pass rusher. I think y'all got to let James Houston cook more this year, personally, if he's healthy, obviously. I think again, people got to get size out of their head, and just let him do what he does best, which is hunt. And then I want to see if that Giants offensive line, whoever's out there, whether it's a Zudu at tackle, Illuminor at tackle, Van Roten inside, I want to see how they hold up versus like legitimate, we're trying to get somebody down on the ground, pass rushing. I also want to see these Giants running backs that are behind Devin Singletary, right? Like I know what Devin Singletary is going to do, and he's probably not going to get any carries because why? He's a veteran. He's been around. They know what he can do. They have a bunch of question marks behind him, a bunch of young, inexperienced question marks. What are they going to do versus a Lions defense, especially their linebacking core that just know how to play the game well, right? They just understand how to play the game well. And I want to see how that works for them. For you, what are you looking for to see, and what do you think is going to be something that the Lions, that the Giants will help you see about your team?
Well, for me, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of the first team out here in this game. So to me, it's gonna be some key backups and some key positional battles that are going on. So first and foremost, man, our whole offense is predicated off of the success of Jared Goff. If he were to go down for any significant amount of time or even a couple of games, we could be severely compromised. So I got to see the development of Hendon Hooker as our backup quarterback. It seems like Nate Setfeld has been basically outplaying him all preseason. Was basically listed as number 2 on the depth chart already. So I got to see really where Hendon Hooker is and where Nate Setfeld is. We've seen him a couple of times, and it hasn't been promising. And if neither one of those guys look competent, we may have to get out here on the trail and find us a backup quarterback going into this year. Also, the backup running backs. We know about the top 2 guys. We spoke about them early. But we got Sian Vaki, who's a guy that we drafted in the 3rd round, who's expected to be some type of special team demon. I don't know if he's going to be returning kicks or covering this new kickoff rule, but he's also part of the running back room, and he's in a battle with Craig Reynolds. So I kind of want to see those 2 guys, see how they play against the Giants defense. And also, there's a race for the number 3 wide receiver spot. DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, on one of the People's Champ here from Detroit and Cass Tech. He's involved. We also have Doris Fontaine, a kind of a undrafted free agent who's really made a name for himself during camp, who's battling for that spot. Of course, Khalif Raymond is in the mix. He's also a kick returner. So we think his job is probably safe on the team. But that number 3 wide receiver spot is wide open. There's a number of guys who are coming into play for it. So those are the guys I'm looking for tonight. And they should get a lot of run, too.
Yeah, and I think it's actually good for them, right? Because I think you're going to see more of the Giants starting secondary because a lot of those guys are so inexperienced. Yeah. Outside of maybe a Pinnock, who is maybe a little bit like an extra year. I think this is year 4 for him, I believe. Like you may still see some of him as they try to figure out the connectivity, but Dane Belton will probably be out there playing safety, because you got to figure out your safety situation. The rookie 2nd round pick Tyler Nubin will be out there. Y'all know Drew Phillips is going to be out there. Y'all know Drew Phillips' name. Drew Phillips, who had y'all had the whole receiving core.
Nubin was nice at Minnesota. Nubin was a ball hawk, so we got to watch him. He's a nice player.
But I'm talking about Drew Phillips in them joint practices. Drew Phillips
yeah. We got to see when the bullets really get to flying out
here. Yeah. Like I think he was like, yo, I'm really like that, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see when the game starts. So I think he'll get a lot of run. You'll clearly see a lot of Cordell Flott because he's moving back outside, and he's been splitting time kind of with McLeod. And they'll want to see what he can be outside. So I think you'll get the defensive backs that are supposed to be the Giants starting, or a combination of their starters in the secondary, which will be good for Detroit to be able to get some assessment on how good their quarterbacks are and how good those backup receivers are, or that number 3 guy, So I think that'll be good. It'll be a great battle for both teams to be able to answer some questions. Obviously, we probably won't see much of the front lines. We probably won't see much of the premier linebackers, but I think for the Giants, they have a lot of questions behind the starter, Bobby Okereke. Like, not for nothing, the number 2 guy last year, Micah McFadden, he played well, but he missed a lot of tackles. Right.
See,
and so
after Bobby, I don't even know another linebacker's name, really. That's why I was going to ask you, like, that, before we even went to the secondary, I was talking about that linebacker line, like right behind that line, like who was going to stand out besides Bobby?
Well, Michael, like I said, Michael McFadden emerged last year because 2 years ago in 2022, when we thought Darian Beavers was going to be the starting linebacker. This is before Okereke, but he was going to be the starting linebacker. He blew out his knee. So then that allowed Micah McFadden to come in and start getting some rep. In 2023, he was able to earn the starting job next to Okereke, and he's got a lot of instincts. He's got a lot of ability to read and react fast. What he hasn't shown is consistency in tackling people. This dude misses a ton of tackles, and when you miss tackles at linebacker, it doesn't matter how good you are at deciphering the play. If you can't get people down, it's not going to matter, right? And so I think that opens the door for Beavers, who's coming back from who's now a full year removed from that injury. That opens up room for a guy like Darius Musow, who came in from who was there, I believe, 6th round pick this year, to come in and possibly show that he can do some things. But there are a lot of question marks in that linebacking core behind Bobby Okereke. I think what's going to happen, though, is because of the packages they're going to put in, whoever's next to Bobby Okereke will probably only be there for like first down and maybe second down, right? Because they're going to bring in Isaiah Simmons as that money backer, or that, to really bring in more of like a dime look, because they play out of a base nickel look. Okay. So it's only two interior linebackers out there anyway. So now when you bring in Simmons and you take out McFadden, it leaves you now with a more athletic, dynamic guy, but also a guy that will miss some tackles too. So there's some question marks in that linebacking core that I'll be looking to see who gets what reps and how they do, and decipher how they were with bringing people down. What else are you looking forward to seeing? I can tell you one thing I'm looking forward to seeing more of. That's this kick return.
You know what, man? You know what? After the first game, I think I'm a little underwhelmed. Maybe I got to see a little bit more razzle dazzle. Maybe some folks are holding some of their the tricks to the regular season, but right now it's safer. It's definitely a safer play. I want to see more strategy from the kicking team, maybe kicking it a little bit higher, even though guys can't leave until the ball is caught. But I expected a little bit more strategics. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more strategy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe reverse, because you got two guys who can stay in the landing zone or catching zone or whatever. But maybe they're gonna hold the tricks until the regular season. But right now, a little bit underwhelmed here.
I can tell you what I've noticed from what I took away from the Hall of Fame game when I saw it was, they're gonna have to reteach people how to block. Right? Because it's different blocking somebody that close to you versus being able to run down 15 yards, turn around, locate, and then essentially just wall off somebody and create a lane. Now you actually have to block people. And I think that is going to affect people making these rosters. Like, if you're a guy if you're a wide receiver or a tight end who can legitimately block in space, you're going to be more of a valuable member of that team than you were before. Like the idea that I've gone away from it forever ago, and you don't see it as much at the NFL level, but the big dudes on kickoff return teams don't do you any good, right? Because people just run around them. They're not right. athletic enough. Right. But the what you give away is you give away blocking ability, because some of these guys who are on the kickoff return team that are out there on the front line or on the second line, they can't block. And so what you're seeing in this new kickoff is there are people out there who can't block, trying to block people who still know how to tackle people. Like all of those people on that kickoff team,
disengage.
Yeah, they know how to tackle. Yeah. So like that's going to be the big difference for me is, okay, how much attention is really being paid to blocking across the line and not just having guys out there because you need somewhere to stuff him on special teams. We'll see. I think it's really interesting that. But most importantly, like I'm excited for football, like real football. And are you somebody are you one of those people that's into whatever the football is? Like, just sign me up for real football. Or are you one of those snobs that say, well, I don't really care, it's preseason, call me when the starters are out there?
I'm going to give you a line from my wife, man. She calls herself a football widow, man. She calls herself a football widow. She says, she's from about this time, from September to February, man. It's all about football. And I used to be a coach. I coached 7 years at a middle school, man. So okay. It was all about football, man. I'm a fantasy football player. I'm gonna be in 8 or 9 leagues. I love the college game. I'm gonna be watching my Michigan Wolverines. I'm gonna watch my Spartans. I'm gonna watch the national scene. I'm gonna watch some high school teams too. I went to Cass Tech, you know what I'm saying? So that's a big school here in Detroit. Mm-hmm. I support the public school league, and I have a couple of guys who are coaching all around the state. So I'm gonna support all those schools, man, and all that football, man. So I'm in it to win it, man. You can catch me watching football, man, from a Wednesday at a middle school to Sunday night, man. And Monday with the Monday night football, man. So I'm in it to win it, man.
That's what's up. I love to hear it. Let me get you out of here. You said you're in 9 fantasy leagues.
Yeah, man.
Your fantasy football philosophy. Are you somebody that is I'm only going to participate in leagues with some type of windfall / consequences, or are you participating in free leagues?
I'm 80-20, man. It's like, if my employer or something wants to do a free league or something like that, you know what I'm saying, I'll do that, but I don't actively seek out free leagues. No, that's not
I'm not with the free leagues.
I'm kind of in it to win it. I mean, if something pops up, maybe if my family or something wants to do something, somebody wants to get introduced to it, whatever. But I'm a little bit of a snob. Some people are trying to get me in best ball. I feel best ball is kind of cheapens the game a little bit. You don't have to put much strategy into that. You just draft guys and just say, hey, let it be. Now, for the beginners or the guys who don't really, aren't invested, I think that's a great way to go for folks who, who think that they're, better than other folks and want to, put in the time. Hey, man, I say go ahead and play in a regular league, man. But that's just me, man. But
no, I don't do free leagues.
I love it.
I don't do free leagues anymore. I need you to be invested, and the free don't have to be money. Like, it doesn't have to be money. There has to be some type of consequence,
some type of incentive,
some type of like. If it's not going to be money, it's got to be something, right? There's got to be something on the line that you're not willing to lose, or that you're willing to lose, but it's gonna not feel good to lose it in order for me to play. If it's just us playing for the strength of just playing, keep that, because you're not going to be incentivized to set your lineup every week. And I don't want to beat a half. Like, I don't want to lose to a team because they won a game because their opponent only had half the roster, put in. I'm big on that. Tell us about the podcast, man. Let us know what you're doing when it's coming.
Yeah, man.
How people can check you out.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a great show. You can definitely catch me. Definitely follow me on Twitter at CHan313. You can definitely follow me. My show, The Fellas Present Sports Rap, on Spotify. Again, it's basically talking about the local sports scene here in Detroit. I talk about the Lions, the Pistons, the Michigan Wolverines a little bit, and a little bit about the high school football scene here. Have a few interludes of some music that I like, that I hold near and dear to my heart, some old, some new. So definitely check that out. And also check me out on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the in the Enters the Lab Pod Zone. I'm one third of the co-host of that show. You can catch that live again on Twitter again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Thursday nights tonight, or catch that on the Red Zone DC Media channel on YouTube.
Absolutely. C Henny, I really appreciate it. Make sure y'all go and follow him on Twitter at CHen313. Detroit stand up. Y'all are in the building, right?
Yes,
I always appreciate anytime people that are passionate about the sport want to come by, talk some football, be willing to entertain and talk some Giants as well. You're always welcome, and I'm sure we'll double back again when the paths need to cross. Much blessing to you and everything that you got going on, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And I'm wishing that, no injuries for either team or any other team playing tonight.
No injuries tonight.
Everybody walk off, baby. Walk off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you check for any injury reports and anything that you might have that's Giants related on New York Giants on SI website. We're killing it over there. Make sure that you check out all of my good, great, and uglies that I have coming out. I probably got one more coming before we really kind of lock in for the season and start getting into some other content. That'll be my good, great, and ugly on Rakeem Nunez Roaches. You want to make sure that you check that out when that drops. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 2,000. 2,000 is the game. Leave comments on the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Follow me at Gene Clemons anywhere on any social media that you have, at Gene Clemons. And until next time, enjoy tonight. Football is back. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I've got a Giant issue.